I'm trying to make sense of the world. So, when you think about it, shouldn't it be hot hogs, not hot dogs? Food for thought on the All That Chazz Stress Relief Podcast. I'm Robert Chazz Chute, your host for this Victoria Day edition of the All That Chazz Stress Relief Podcast. I'm broadcasting in my studio, and by studio, I mean my Subaru. I'm in the car because there's fireworks outside. You may actually still pick it up. And we just had a renovation done on the house, which I'll talk a little bit. It's a bit relevant to our talk today. We're talking about money and other things, but money is much on my mind. Mind on my money and my money on my mind. Because I'm out in the car because there's a little bit too much shine in the... There's no carpeting. It's all very bare. So when I did a test of the mic, it didn't sound so good. It didn't sound rich, and I didn't come across with my voice saying, "We're spinning the platters that matter on the wheels of steel." All that nonsense. Yes, this is the sound of my voice. And my voice is a little bit more better like butter when I'm not surrounded by new hardwood floors. So we renovated our house, and that's why this podcast has been delayed. Sorry about that. It took a little bit longer, but, you know, I kind of budgeted time. I thought that, yeah, this is going to go a little bit longer than expected. And it wasn't much longer than expected. We still have a few things to do, but the floor was terrible before the carpet was disintegrating. We had to make a change. I'm so glad we did. We've actually increased the value of our home with this investment. Trouble is, we started the renovation expecting a certain tax bill, and then we got the real tax bill, and it was double what we expected. So, let's talk about money management for a minute. First off, I think I might have... I had this same kind of tax bill for many years in a row, so this is a combination of factors, one being a change in the tax code. So I don't think it would have changed much if I had spoken with my accountant on a regular basis, straight up face-to-face, frankly, because we see our accountant once a year, we drop it off, we pick it up, and that's pretty much it. We don't consult. Although I think going forward to solve these issues for the future, we might have to consult a bit more, and we might actually switch accountants to get more of a consultatory relationship. So I guess my message is do track everything, though. I recently wrote a post at chazzwrites.com that is relevant to this topic, and that is to use Google Docs, get a spreadsheet. You don't have to use Quicken Books and all the other fancy, nothing wrong if you do. There are a ton of financial tracking software options out there, but I think just the free option of Google Sheets will do fine. I like Google Docs a lot, and Google Sheets is really straightforward. You don't have to learn anything to use it. You can just start using it right away. And track your receipts more as you go, as opposed to just once a year, as many of us do. If you have a business, you have something to claim. I have had 4 businesses to track, so I have a lot to track. Having said all that, I'll get to the larger point in a minute. But the other thing I would suggest is think about budgeting and what you can do without and what you can let go. If we had known that the tax bill was coming, if we'd known what was coming, we would not have done the reno. But I'm really glad we did the reno because it really desperately needed to be done. And ultimately, it's an investment in our home, and our home is our best investment for the long term. So maybe you can't relate to these issues. I know not long ago I wouldn't have related to these issues. We're just trying to manage things as best we can. We've got one kid going into university in the fall, and another kid who has a few years yet before he has to face these issues. But it's money's very much on my mind. When I have as many things going on as I do, I needed to find some work-life balance. And that's the larger topic, and that is letting things go. So I've worked as an author's assistant. I've done basically managing financials and correspondence for a Scottish design agency, kitfosterdesign.com. My business partner there, Kit, got ill and is slowed down. So if he's slowing down, he doesn't need me. So until he's feeling better, I'm not working there right now. Either way, get well soon, Kit. Love you very much. Second point is I was working at 2 clinics now. I'm just working at one because I needed to take a sabbatical. I've taken 3 months off, and we're going to see how that works. And I'm going to reevaluate what I'm doing for this summer, starting right away. I just finished my last shift at the clinic, and my focus on work-life balance is to work on books more, because in the long term, my plan is to sell books to fund my retirement. And right now, I can't live off the book income stream, but I don't think I could do without it either. I mostly write science fiction, and I wrote a book called Do the Thing, which is very relevant to the stress relief aspect of this podcast, because it's about life management stuff, stress, pain, time, energy, managing all those things. Manage those things, you get a life. And I felt kind of overcommitted, like I was I was working too hard. So now I had 4 jobs. Now I'm down to 2. One not by choice, one by choice, but it's all okay. So there's the short-term emergency of how am I going to pay the taxes for this year, and I worked out a payment schedule with the Canada Revenue Agency, and I gave them what I thought I was going to have to pay them, so it wasn't too bad. But I just have to do some more active money management. And this ties in with the larger theme I wanted to talk about, and that is letting things go. So I've let some stuff go, those 2 jobs. I'm not thinking about them for a while, because I want to focus on what do I need to do for the short term, what do I need to do for the long term. Books are long term, writing them, loving them, reading them, writing more. I've got so much to do, so many books to write. I've written a bunch of books, and I so enjoy that. I love that life. I love that work. And it's been a challenge to find the time, and I always find the time. One thing is, I'm not telling anybody to do something I don't do. I do schedule my time really well, and I control my time really well. Not everybody can do that. I understand that. When I had little kids, I talk about this and Do the Thing. When I had little kids, I would trade daycare duties with other parents, or I could write during nap time, or I'd get up and write early, and I would hire a nanny one day a week because I couldn't hire them for more than one day a week. But on that one day a week, I would work on one thing or another. There are all sorts of time management things that some cost a little bit of money, some don't cost anything at all. But don't separate time and energy management. So today I was just exhausted. I think part of it was allergies and kind of emotional exhaustion and physical exhaustion. So I ended up having a 2-hour and 40-minute nap, which is incredibly unusual for me. But I had a headache. I lay down and I woke up feeling like, wow, I so needed that. I needed to let go of trying to be productive every day, every hour of every day. I've said this before about how you can manage so much on Rescue Time, that app that tracks all your time. But the goal is not to get to 100% working. You need to have some work-life balance. And I think right now I've got a little bit more work-life balance, more than I've had in a while. And it is such a relief. The other thing about letting go, when we cleared out the basically 1.5 floors of our home to do the renovations, new paint, new hardwood floors, looks fantastic. The contractor did a great job. There was some stress involved, but it was totally worth it. I have a couple of offices, and the new one doesn't have any clutter, and I am absolutely I'm committed to getting rid of all my clutter, because once you open up that space and you realize how big your home really is, it is such a relief. You can find things don't get lost. You don't have piles of papers everywhere. Getting rid of clutter is a great way to free up a lot of energy. There's a story about how somebody goes to a holy man in the village and says, "My house is too small. What do? I can't afford to buy a new one." And he says, "Do you have chickens? Yes. Do you have pigs? Yes. Do you have goats? Yes. Bring them all inside the house." And the villager says, "I don't get where you're going here, buddy." And the holy man says, "Just do as I say and come back in a week." So he brings the chickens and the pigs and the goats into the house for a week, and then at the end of the week, he goes back to the holy man and says, "I've done it. It is insane. This is crazy." And the holy man says, "Okay, now let him out of the house." And he lets him out of the house, and the villager comes back and says, "My hut is a lot bigger than I thought it was. Look at all this space." So as fireworks fire off in the background, I can actually see some reflections off rooftops in the distance. You may be able to pick that up from the mic in the background. That's where I'm at right now. Getting rid of clutter, letting go of overwork, and focusing more on what's the short-term goal, what's the long-term goal, what can I do to best serve both without killing myself. And it feels really good. It feels right. I preach relaxation, and I practice relaxation, but until I let go of trying to do everything, I didn't really understand how much stress I was under. Now, I still feel stress. I remember a long time ago I was meditating, and this was at the University of Alberta in 1982. I was meditating in some kind of common area, and this girl came up to me, and she was talking, and I opened my eyes, and she said, "Oh, see, yeah, you weren't in deep meditation. You can hear me." And I said, "Well, of course I can hear you. Meditation is not deafness, you monster." So I do practice stress management, and I feel a lot of stress off and on, but I do deal with it. And when I wrote Do the Thing, in the final chapter, I promised that I would practice what I preached. And I'm doing it. and I hope you are too. I hope you're letting go of what does not serve you, because there are a lot of things, a lot of interactions, a lot of craziness. For instance, if you get too wrapped up in bad news on social media, that can really ruin your day and change your outlook. And letting go of bad news in a responsible manner. I mean, I think you still need to be aware. You still need to protest if you're going to protest, or legislate if you're going to legislate. I mean, there's lots to do to fix the world. But it's not all done in a day, and it's not all up to you or me. We have to take time to enjoy life as well as try to make it better. When I was in university, a friend of mine had a younger sister they were both brilliant, but I remember this exchange in particular. This friend of mine, his younger sister, was trying to get a ramp for some fellow student who was disabled. And the principal of the high school said, no, it wasn't going to happen. Something like that. And the principal said, I'm saying no, but the lesson that you should take away from this exchange is life's not fair. And I was so immensely moved and proud of my friend's sister when she looked the principal straight in the eye and said, no, the lesson that we should take from this is life's not fair, but it's our responsibility to try to make it that way. And it wasn't in a class, but that one lesson, life's not fair, but we're here to try to make it that way. Wow. I think that's the best thing I ever learned at university. That's the thing that guides my life. Wow, that's profound enough, right? I'm done for this week. I've rambled enough. You've heard enough. I told you the villager story. I told you that. Oh wow, yeah. What a week. What a crazy week. I feel like a weight is off my shoulders, and I've got so much work to do, but I feel so good about it. And I've got this huge tax bill that I've got to deal with. But I expected that it would ruin my life if I got a really bad bill, especially at a bad time. Like I said, if we'd known that was coming, we wouldn't have done the renovations we did. But we didn't know. And it's okay. It's going to work out. One way or another, it's going to work out. I'm going to sell more books. We have a lot of work to do. It's, although I'm down to just 2 jobs, I am working my ass off, but I'm not hating every minute of it either. I get to help people for a living, and I get to entertain people for a living. And that's not bad. I've had really terrible jobs. And that's not where I'm at now. I'm not at that stage of life where the jobs are really terrible. I'm choosing what I'm doing. And mostly, except for the tax bills and some those kind of issues, some of the paperwork, mostly I love it. And I hope that if you're in a job that you don't like, you'll get to that place soon too. So I have a couple podcast recommendations and a reading recommendation for you. One is to read the book Multiple Streams of Income. I don't have the author's name in front of me, sorry, right now, but I will put it in the show notes. Check out my article on tracking money and why it's important and why we should at chazzwrites.com. Check out the 40-Year-Old Boy podcast for a fantastic and funny story by my friend Mike Schmidt. He's a comedian in Hollywood who talks about going on a audition where he is basically a Hodor in a commercial, and it is a really funny story that made me laugh. Mike always makes me laugh. I love Mike, and I listen to that podcast every week, and sometimes it's crazy, and he's always striving or struggling with striving, and that's immensely appealing to me, because I'm much more interested in that than listening to a podcast by somebody who has all the riches and has it all figured out and everything's easy for them. Because when things are easy, you've got less of value to say to people who are struggling. And Mike has a lot of struggles that he's wrestling with, but he always does it in an entertaining way, and I love him for it. I also need to shout out the Professional Left podcast, which airs every Friday with Driftglass and Blue Gal. They are political commentators, but they are also lovers of science fiction. And at the top of their podcast last week, they gave my book, Wallflower, my time travel novel, they gave it a shout out. Fran found out that in that novel, in that time travel novel, Kurt Vonnegut is a major character. Mark Twain is a very minor character, believe it or not, but it fits in with the whole time travel motif, and it's a lot of fun. So if you enjoy liberal commentary with a kind of a funny take on it, you can enjoy the Professional Left podcast with Driftglass and Blue Gal. Or just check out my time travel novel, Wallflower. I think you'll enjoy it. But, what else am I going to say? I wrote it. I enjoyed it, so, hey, everybody should. Of course, the book that is regarding stress relief, time management, energy management, and pain management. Check out Do the Thing on Amazon in paperback and in ebook. And finally, shout out to RF Casey. Thank you for supporting this podcast through the Patreon link. If you would like to join RF Casey as a supporter of this podcast and help me out with the bandwidth costs, because, Jesus, I've got a huge tax bill, then do go to allthatchazz.com. At allthatchazz.com, you can check out the link to the Patreon page. It says just a yellow button that says Become a Patron. And I don't know for sure, but I think my computer just told me it was 10 o'clock. So it's time for me to manage my time and get going. Thanks again for listening to the All That Chazz Stress Relief podcast. Talk to you soon, and take it easy. Take it slow. Let go. And sing that song from Frozen until you believe it. Let it go, let it go. No, that's not the right song. She goes, I'm not going to do the thing where she goes, let it go, and all that stuff, because I can't sing that way. But there's another song that was like, let it go, let it free your body and your soul, let it go, oh, we all made the honor roll, I think. Good night, everybody. Talk to you soon.